All of us reach a point in time where we are depleted and need to somehow find a way to reignite the fire within. But how do we spark that flame? Welcome to Reignite Resilience, where we will venture into the heart of the human spirit. We'll discuss the art of reigniting our passion and strategies to stoke our enthusiasm. And now, here are your hosts, Natalie Davis and Pamela Cass.
From a business sales standpoint, Sarah, I love that how you described this partnership. You were like, I've met this company that I love and I adore. You don't typically hear that like in the brokerage sales side of businesses.
No.
It was important for you to have that personal connection with whomever, whatever entity or organization was going to take over, acquire, or merge with your brand that you had built.
Well, and the cool part is I felt like I got to have a lot of like founder to founder discussions with this company, because the company that purchased mine, their CEO was a former founder of an LSAT brand. And then that LSAT brand, they got basically bought out by private equity. And so now he's like running the bigger conglomerate, and they have LSAT and they've got MCAT and they've got some ACT, GME, those sorts of things, but they didn't have nursing. So it was like, felt like this really natural fit. And after we first met them, I was actually going out to California for a female entrepreneurs business retreat. And I was like, well, if we're going to be in California, like, let's just meet the dude. Like, let's just drive up there. And my husband was like, yeah, absolutely. It sounds incredible. And so we got to meet and have like a human conversation in that way beyond just Zoom. And that was super helpful.
That's awesome.
Love that. Your daughter is born. How soon after her birth did you all receive the diagnosis?
Yeah.
So it was a whirlwind, to say the least. I sold middle of June, like June 16, 2022. And first week of July, we found out that something was wrong with Meadow's heart, but we didn't know what.
Okay.
And a lot of people are really confused. They're like, why did you find out in the third trimester? Like, what is going on? And what had happened was in my second trimester, I wasn't vibing with my OB. And I remember looking at my husband one day and being like, you know what? If something goes wrong and like we need to do an emergency C-section or make a decision or whatever else, like that is not the human I want in the room with me. Like I don't feel like she can meet me where I'm at. I'm feeling all this anxiety. Everybody's making me feel crazy. So I'm going to have to be brave, but I'm going to try somewhere new. And I know that sounds crazy in my third trimester, but I'm going to do it, which he very graciously supported. And when I met with that new OB in my third trimester, they were like, hey, because you're new to the practice, let's just do another anatomy scan. Like, it's a liability thing for us. Like, just double, triple check. And on that anatomy scan, they were like, something looks weird with her heart. But even then, the OB was like, I'm going to go ahead and book your next appointment here. He's like, we're going to book one with the specialty OB. You can go get it checked out or whatever. He said, but I'm going to book your next one here because I know you're coming back. Like, it looks like a normal variant. It's not that big of a deal. And then when I was 36 weeks, we finally got her diagnosis. It's called tetralogy Fallot, pulmonary atresia. And what that means in layman's terms is she has the most severe type of a set of 4 heart defects that commonly go together. And what that meant for her and for us is that she would have heart surgery in her first week of life. She would have heart surgery again before she was a year old. And then she would go on to have 5 to 6 more open heart surgeries throughout her life. Wow. So we went from thinking we had this normal, healthy baby, and now we're like, oh my God, we just sold a business, and there's not even like a breath or a moment to celebrate it, take it in, even figure out like where the money's going to go. You know, we started working with a financial advisor, and they're like, we can put money in the markets over here and do this. Mm-hmm. And I was like, do not call me, do not email me until this baby is healthy and we figure out what's going on. I have no interest in talking to anyone. So all we did in the 3 weeks before we found out her diagnosis was literally like put some money aside to one day donate to charity because we knew we wanted to do that. But that was it. Mm-hmm. And when Meadow was born, it's so hard to have any kind of medical expertise and almost like simultaneously be a patient at the same time. Like, I know I wasn't the patient.
Yes.
But she was basically what they told us is the moments between her first surgery and her second would likely be the most high-risk period of her entire life. Because the first surgery was a patch to allow her to grow bigger and stronger and have the best outcomes possible for the second surgery. And what a lot of people don't really understand when I'm like, oh, it was like a patch. And they're like, okay, like she was like good. And the in-between, no, like I brought home a baby who like at a baseline's oxygen was 70%.
Wow.
And wore an oxygen monitor all the time. And we spoke to her cardiologist twice a day when we were at home submitting numbers. We submitted weight. We submitted how much she ate. We submitted all of her oxygen saturations. And it was just, I took a very short maternity leave because I felt all of this internal pressure. Her first surgery went better than we anticipated. So we got out sooner. So, 6 weeks after Meadow was born, I attempted to go back to work. And trying to integrate into a company when you're like least capacity that you've ever been, because I really genuinely felt like I've just never been tapped like this.
Yeah.
It was really hard. And I think I was kind of set up for failure from the beginning. And I think I got lumped into like a little bit of a mom box, which is like the last thing that I wanted.
Okay.
I'm like, I am a fierce entrepreneur. Like I built this thing, I sold it. Like I've done this incredible stuff. And then to like be put in a mom box was,
Yeah.
It like makes me sweat a little bit just thinking about it. But our initial hope was that her patch would last until she was about 10 months old. And unfortunately for us, she was born in August and her patch went bad emergently at Thanksgiving. So it was Thanksgiving, so we didn't have any other childcare. It was just us. We didn't go to any Thanksgivings that year because when you have a baby whose oxygen is 70%, a common cold will kill them. So we just quarantined down.
Yeah.
And her oxygen, when she usually ran at 70, dropped to 50.
Oh,
She
wow.
was dead asleep. Like sometimes that would happen, like, her foot would move or like the monitor would read wrong. They dropped down to 50 and I was like, is that real? And I was like, but she's not moving. Like, what's going on? And luckily, when you're doing this high risk, like at home program, they give you a number that you can call at any time, like holiday, day, night, it doesn't matter. So I called them. I said, hey, it just happened one time. It came right back up, but her oxygen was 50.
Yeah.
And her cardiologist was like, just bring her in. It was like, we'll just feel better, and you'll feel better if you bring her in. And then we found out that her patch, which was really the only thing giving blood to her lungs, and it's also, I'm so glad I didn't know this when I was at home, but that patch was the size of a diamond stud earring, and it had narrowed to half of that size.
Oh, wow.
So they're like, we got to go in and we just got to do the repair and try to fix it and hope for the best, even though it's earlier than everybody wanted or hoped for.
She was still small. Wow.
So small. She was teeny.
And as a nurse,
Oof.
having to, not be in there and leave it in other people's hands, that had to have been very hard.
My least favorite experience.
It's almost like that, gosh, I wish I didn't know, kind of a thing. But when you know everything, it's like, that makes it really hard.
Well, in some ways, it was a gift. My husband, before my business, was a truck driver. So he has no medical expertise.
Yeah.
And, the very first day that she was alive and she was born, she ended up having to be intubated. And it was related to a medication side effect, not because, like, her lungs were collapsing or anything like that. But even, like, to have the wherewithal and the understanding to explain that to him, because the only person he'd ever seen intubated was someone who died.
Yeah.
And so he was like, oh, my God, she's dying. And I'm like, no, this is just a Band-Aid. And he's like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, oh, no, like I've worked in the ICU. Like this is just a Band-Aid.
Right.
So some of it was incredible and some of it was terrible.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
What was her recovery like after Thanksgiving? What was that part of the journey?
I would say it was the worst couple of months of my life, to be honest. We spent all of her first holidays in the hospital and a routine tetralogy Fallot patient. So a patient that doesn't have the extra piece, which is the pulmonary atresia, where you're lacking a pulmonary valve. Usually they're in and out in a week. And her first surgery had went way better than we anticipated. So I felt like our expectations had kind of blurred because of that. We'd read all these stories about people being in and out in a week. So I was like, okay, like it's Thanksgiving. We'll definitely by far be home by Christmas. And what complicated her care is everyone in the world knows that you do not go into a surgery on blood thinners. You absolutely do not do it. Like if you show up to have surgery and you've taken an ibuprofen like in the last 2 weeks, they're like, I get out of here. Like we're not doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Meadow was on blood thinners, like injection blood thinners twice a day, every day, because of this little patch and how important it was that it didn't clot and all these things. And because it had narrowed in size, they had to make this risk versus benefit decision to leave her on her blood thinners because if that clots off entirely, then she's dead.
Yeah.
So we have to go into surgery on blood thinners, even though it's like the least ideal scenario possible. And as a result of that, she had a whole host of complications. But I just like to have ultra clarity. It was not anybody's fault. Like we knew what we were going into. We had a conversation about it. I was educated. I was asking lots of questions.
Yes.
And there was no time. I mean, that's just the reality, right?
Yeah, you just got to do the thing.
Yes.
Yeah, you just got to do the thing. And that's what she needed to be able to continue forward. But ultimately, the night of her surgery, which they call her full repair, which is like super deceiving because she still has to have more surgeries. Like they're just fixing the main defects then in the best way that they can. Her chest filled up with so much blood that her heart wasn't able to beat. And she almost crashed. And so they had to emergently reopen her chest and leave it open for 7 days afterwards.
Oh, wow.
Which is not even something I knew was a possibility or a thing. I'd never heard of that. I'd never once heard of that. But it's to give everything a little bit of space and like some decompression. Mm-hmm. But as a result, like for 7 days after that second surgery, we could literally like stand over her body and watch her heartbeat from outside her body. And I mean, it was like the literal stuff of nightmares. And I feel like all of the time that we spent there we got out finally in mid-January. We were just riding this very intense roller coaster. And, you know, an ICU attending before we had ever even like had Meadow's first surgery kind of gave us that spiel of like, the ICU is a roller coaster. So like, you're going to have dips, you're going to have ups. But we really we had no idea if Meadow was going to go home or not. Like we just had genuinely no idea. And kind of all the lights were very dark and very dim. And there was no light at the end of the tunnel. I was like, if we survive this, I don't know what she looks like after this either, because she ultimately ended up having a brain bleed as well. Okay. And they're like, okay, like she makes it through the heart stuff. Like you've just got to see about the brain stuff. Like that's just something that evolves over time. Yeah. And it was just so much uncertainty to sit in, which was supposed to be like this really like cool, joyous time of like your first kiss, first Christmas and like all these different things. And it just was not that for us.
Yeah. It just looked different for you all.
Very different.
Yeah. Yeah. Coming through the holidays, how long did you all have to go before having the next surgery? The real surgery then, right?
So she had that repair surgery. She had a couple of miscellaneous surgeries. Like she ended up having a pacemaker implanted during that stay. She had a couple of scopes and different things during that stay. But since we left in January of 2023, she has not had another surgery yet, which is really cool.
Amazing.
And she's doing incredibly. So I'm like, I always talk about the dark, but I'm like, she's so cool now. Like if we could just like get to the part where she's now. But there's no set or definitive timeline on her next surgery. It's very subjective to her and kind of when her fake heart valve wears out, essentially. But we hope, fingers crossed, she'll be 5 or 6. That's the dream and the vision. And a lot of the advocacy work that I do today really centers around there are some really cool trials out there where they're doing heart valves via heart caths. So instead of opening their chest, they're like going through their groin and like threading it up and putting the heart valve in without ever having to open them for surgery. Yeah. And so we hope that her next surgery will be her last one. Okay. And then after that, they can do the alternative procedure instead, which is like so cool and so incredible. But
oh my God.
Awesome. I love that. I love that. And here's the wild part, Sarah. All of this is happening simultaneous. You just recently go through a business sale and you're still
and I'm supposed to be there. Like I'm the chief nursing officer. Like I'm supposed to be there.
Yes.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, I know that you felt like you were in the mom box from the professional standpoint, but I'm assuming that there was some compassion and understanding and not a loss of momentum during that time that you were with Meadow and just being by her side for that.
No, and I very much like that's a credit to my work wife, but also a credit to the business that we built. The momentum and everything continued even without me there. And that was really like cool for me even to see, because I was always like, what if I wasn't here? Like, you know, everyone calls me the key woman. Like, would it survive without me? But I got a lot of compassion and a lot of grace, even from students. I was like, oh, so they're like, you do you. And then like, you come back when you're ready. We'll be ready for you. But
amazing. Yeah. Wow.
I'm always in awe at the stories where, you know, you are on this fabulous path and in terms of from a professional standpoint, and the world never knows that like life is lifing on the back end, right? Like things are also
life and heart.
Little detour.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you talked a little bit about the advocacy work. Yes. Tell us about that. What does that look like now?
Let's take a quick break.
Hey there, Reignite Resilience listeners. I've got some exciting news that I cannot wait to share with you. We have just launched our brand new weekly Think Letter, and it is packed with powerful insights to fuel your journey towards unshakable resilience. Now, picture this. Each week, you'll receive a daily dose of inspiration, practical strategies, and thought-provoking ideas directly in your inbox. It's like having a personal resilience coach right at your fingertips. And we've designed the Think Letter to be your go-to resource for cutting-edge research, real-life stories, and actionable tips that you can apply. So head on over to reigniteresilience.com and sign up for the Think Letter today. Now, let's dive back into today's episode.
Yeah, you know, I tell people a lot, like, how could I go through that experience and like almost losing my daughter and not be like permanently, like completely changed after that? And then simultaneously, like I was changed by that experience. And then when we made it out of the hospital, I actually found out I had OCD, and something I've had my entire life. But Meadow's diagnosis, and this is not Meadow's fault, but like Meadow's diagnosis and that ultimately that first little bit of care kind of really sent me off a deep end with the OCD. And so I kind of needed to manage that, figure that out. As a result, you know, after I went through kind of an intensive outpatient program for my OCD because it was so bad, I kind of came out a different human in a way. Like I felt like I lost like so much urgency in my life. And I was kind of redefining for myself, like, what does success look like? Because, you know, success was always like some sort of business metric, like we hit this amount or we sell or we do this. Well, I've done all those things. So what is success to me and what does that feel like? And success to me was really being a present mom and doing the things that fill my cup and light me up. And advocacy work is one of those things, just like writing is one of those things. And I had this amazing opportunity to go to Washington, D.C. with a group called Conquering CHD, which I'm now the board chair of. But back then, I did not know them at all. And we talked to Congress people on Capitol Hill all day about the Congenital Heart Futures Act, which the goal of that act is to collect better longitudinal research so we can watch these people, or these children, over their lifetimes living with congenital heart disease.
Yeah.
Because it was just in 2009. I promise I'll only give like one or two statistics. But in 2009, it was the first time in history there were more adults living with congenital heart disease than children. And what that stat actually says is the first time they were living into adulthood. Wow. So this is like so new in the grand scheme of things. And like 30, 40 years ago, Meadow surgeries didn't exist. Like there was no options for her. There was no hope for her. And now we need to collect data. We need to collect research to see like what problems are these people running into as they grow up? And how can we be more preventative or be more helpful or research new things or all those things? And so that act is an important piece of that. And we were actually able to finally get it reauthorized last year, which is really cool, kind of in like the final moments of the session. And once I had worked on that with them and kind of gotten a taste of DC, I was like, I feel like I'm the perfect human for this. Like,
love it.
I have the medical expertise. I've got the personal story. I know how to articulate myself. Like, I am the perfect advocate. And I've already been doing this in all these different ways, like to advocate for my own mental health when I was in nursing school. I advocated for my students and their mental health through my business. And so now, like, why not advocate for Meadow? And I think the thing that really pushed me over the edge was finding out that heart defects are the most common birth defect, but they're the very least funded. And so until we know this is a problem, when we increase the awareness, then we're not going to get the funding or the research anyways.
Yeah.
And so I am just shouting to anyone who will listen those two statistics very specifically, because I think they're life-changing to hear. And it like gives so much more perspective and insight into what I hope the future for Meadow will be and those like her.
Yeah, because most people wouldn't, unless it touches and impacts them.
No idea.
They would have no.
I was a nurse practitioner and I had no idea.
Yeah. And so once it touches your life, then it's like, okay, now you hear this research and you're like, wow, that's.
And then I show them Meadow and I'm like,
yes, and
he is a result of medicine. Like, look at this incredible 3-year-old riding horses. She's at forest school. Like, this wouldn't have even been possible just a very short time ago.
Yeah, that's incredible.
I love that. I'm not surprised that she's Spitfire. I was like, I bet she's
fine.
Spitfire all day.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, she is a Leo if you're into astrology at all, and she's a Leo through and through.
There you go. Okay. Well, she's here to keep you on your toes.
Oh yes.
She wants what she wants when she wants it. That's it.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Well, Sarah, you also said that you're working on a book.
Yes.
Oh yes.
Tell us.
Just give us a little bit of a teaser. What can we look forward to?
I should have said books. So I do have a memoir that I'm working on, and it's a book about resilience. It's a book about mental health. I mean, going 18 years misdiagnosed is a long time.
It's a very long time.
And it was so pivotal for me to find out how to OCD, because the way you work with OCD is not traditional talk therapy. That actually usually makes it worse. And so getting the resources and the tools to work with my brain and to be able to eliminate a lot of that urgency in my life, so cool. And I get to be such a better mom because of it. And I get to do the things I love better because of it too. So very much a book about mental health and also the journey in my business, because I know that's interesting to people because they're like, wait, what did you do? Like 2 years? And I was like, I don't know. What did I do? Like, let me write it down. But the other books that I'm working on are children's books, and they're going to be about congenital heart disease. My first one should release next February in Heart Month.
Nice.
And the first book in the series is Meadow and her 4-leaf clover heart, because the same odds as finding a 4-leaf clover are the same odds as Meadow's defect. And so we try to rewrite the narrative with her all the time about her heart defect. Even at 3, I think it's really important so your heart doesn't become your identity. And like, how can we look at this in a different way and a different perspective? And so, I'm really excited about that too.
That is exciting. That's an exciting one. I love it.
Yeah. Congratulations on all. That's amazing.
Thanks.
Yeah.
You're just getting started.
Oh, exactly. I am just I'm 31. I'm just getting started.
A lot of impact to make in the world. Incredible.
That's my hope.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Sarah, if someone wants to get in touch with you, find you, what's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
I am everywhere. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on Instagram at Sarah Michelle MP. I have a personal brand website, which is sarahmichelleboes.com. My children's books have their own website because I opened my own publishing imprint to do my children's books, which is littlecloverpress.com. And if you want to find me, you can easily find me.
Okay. She's searchable, y'all.
Oh, yes. Find me on the Googles.
She's everywhere.
Exactly. We'll make sure that we also put your contact information in the show notes so people can find you there as well. Is there anything else that you'd like to leave our listeners with that we haven't talked about today?
You know, one thing that I really love about coming on podcasts and sharing my story is, there are pieces of my story that are really hard to share, but I think that's important. And I think being really authentic is important because a lot of times when you are learning to manage and deal with a mental health diagnosis, you feel so isolated and alone. And every time you share about it, it brings a little levity and it makes it a little bit easier, even if nothing about the situation actually changes. And so I just want to remind people that, don't bottle it all up. Don't keep it all to yourself. The more you share about it, really, truly, the easier it gets.
Absolutely. And somebody needs to hear it.
It's the empowerment that you get from it, from the share.
The agency you get over your own life and your own story. Oh, yeah.
Beautiful.
I love it. Oh, my gosh. Sarah, this has been amazing. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your personal story and Meadow's story. Thank you for sharing her story with us as well. When she gets older, she'll be able to appreciate it that, we were talking about her
Yep.
and all of her greatness. So This has been fabulous. We will put your contact information in the show notes so that people can connect with you. And best of luck on the advocacy work.
Thank you.
I do work in the advocacy space, so I absolutely get it. It is one of those, what is it, like a labor of love? But we know, like,
it is. And there's a lot of bureaucracy that I was not prepared for.
And that.
I was like, oh, hello, politics. I was not prepared.
And that. I try not to focus on that part of it, and I try to focus on the bigger picture mission. Like, what are we trying to accomplish? Oh my gosh. Thank you, Sarah. This has been a pleasure. We will drop all of your contact information in the show notes. And then for everyone that's listening, you all know, head on over to reigniteresilience.com if you want to learn more about what's happening in our world, or find us on Facebook or Instagram. Until next time, we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you for joining us today on the Reignite Resilience podcast. We hope you had some aha moments and learned a few new real-life ideas to fuel the flames of passion. Please subscribe on your favorite streaming platform, like or download your favorite episodes, and of course, share with your friends and family. We look forward to seeing you again next time on Reignite Resilience.